Alright, so I've just found out that apparently the reason why men can't date me, you know, they say they're my friends, they respect me, they care for me so much. They say I'm like the ideal woman, they talk me up, they say I'm a great mother, I'm great this, I'm the best, and they really like me and they really like who I am. I'm a caring person, I wear my heart on my sleeve, like nothing but good things.
Get to the goddamn point, eh?
But they say, I can't be with you because of your history and your past. What?
Yeah, that checks out. That sounds about right.
Maybe it's just me, but I highly doubt that any man was showering her with compliments before telling her that her history of selling her salty spunk chamber of unrelenting dread was what was keeping them from dating. No self-respecting man would waste that amount of time by laying on lies so thick they'd give her skull a run for her money. Then, because there's always more room for coffin nails, she's a single mom as well. So not only would this particular man have to throw away almost all of his dignity to be with a woman who seems to be a solid 3 on her best possible day, he's also gonna have to deal with the social stigma of taking care of her child. And there isn't enough 5 o'clock vodka in the world for that to make any kind of sense. You can get offended all you want, woman, but self-respecting men know better. We would rather be alone, and justifiably so, because the way you talk about yourself makes getting kneecapped with a chainsaw sound more pleasant by comparison.
We all have a past and we all have a history. The only difference is I filmed mine. Mine's on camera. Does that make me not dateable? Seriously, yes or no? I mean, I get it, but I don't get it.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
Yeah, you wouldn't get it. But the good news is you don't have to. I'm here to explain it to you. Do you want the short answer or the long one? Too bad, you're getting both. No, you are not dateable. Everybody does have a past. Now that does go without saying, but we're not talking about a history of getting caught shoplifting at the local Chevy dealership, now are we? We're talking about you filming yourself getting plowed by other men, and what's worse, you put it on the internet, and that's where it will stay until the end of time or until Armageddon, whichever one happens first. And to add insult to injury, you're involving a kid in this whole god-awful mess as well. What possible benefit would there be for a man to get involved with you on a romantic level? You are a walking, talking dumpster fire with fake breasts, and no matter how many showers you take, you'll always smell like one too.
Also forget to add that they want to sleep with me, they want to, with me. So let's put all that together, shall we? Look, we all have a past, right? And if you want to use that past and like not be able to give me an opportunity or like whatever because of my past, because it's accessible for you and your mates to see, then that's a you problem, not a me problem.
You go, girl! You get it, girl! You hear that? You got it, girl!
No, that's where you're wrong, Toots. That's definitely a you problem. Your content is readily accessible for the entire planet to watch, and it will be there forever, and men don't want to deal with that kind of drama, the overused body parts, or your obvious lack of any discernible value. Your past is a gateway into your personality, and it shows that you're impulsive, lazy, and a terrible influence for your children. There is no chance in HE double hockey sticks that a man will want a romantic relationship with you. Of course they want to sleep with you though. We've been over this. It's the only thing that you can provide is that barbed wire encased hornet's nest you got laying betwixt your legs. And between you, me, and the wall, I think I'm being a little too kind with that statement, but I guess I'm feeling charitable at the moment. You're welcome for that, by the way. And that is why men will never want to date you. And that is most certainly a you problem.
That's why I say prostitutes, prostitutes.
I went on a date with a feminist guy. He literally had feminists on his interests on Tinder. And I thought, well, this can go one of two ways. He can either really be one of the rare ones who actually is educated, or he's just a fake feminist guy who just put that there to attract women and to use it as an excuse to not have to pay on the first date. But I thought, hey, I'll give it a go. Maybe he's one of the rare ones. And he was. Turns out he was. And guess what, my guys? Turns out that feminist men are the ones who willingly offer to pay for an Uber to and from the date. And the ones who willingly pay for the tab because they respect the woman they are on a date with.
Boy, there's no real easy way to say this, but look, you're a simp.
Hold up, I'm kind of confused. Did I miss something? I thought you were a strong and independent woman who didn't need no man. You should be insisting on paying that particular check, if anything, to prove the point that you don't need that man. It's a surefire 1-2 punch to stick it to the patriarchy and to put that sexist man in his place. Instead, you're saying that you can completely compromise your entire bonkers belief system if it means that you don't have to pay to shove overpriced food down your throat. That's how equality works, but you're obviously a hypocrite. You're not looking for equality. You're looking for preferential treatment, and you found yourself a man who has zero respect for himself that he's willing to throw money at you in hopes that you'll actually respect him at the end of the day. And you will tolerate his presence just so long as you don't have to pay for anything or see him naked, because equal opportunity only counts just so long as it doesn't come at your expense for anything.
Because a guy that actually understands the issues that are rooted in the society when it comes to sexism will actually understand why it's fair of him to pay on the first date. A man who is a real feminist will not care that he has to pay $20 extra to take you out. And he will understand that you paid much more extra just to go on that date. He understands the pay gap is still real. He understands that women have to get IUDs, have to take birth control, have to put on makeup, have to do their hair. And he understands that if we want to go down the line into something more serious, chances are, just because of the way the society is built, I will be always the one that gives more, and it's never gonna be really 50-50.
What does that even mean?
Alright, I see. So what kind of society do you live in where you expect a man to pay for your hair, meals, and birth control, as well as put up with your rhetoric, take you places, protect you, and all of that other garbage, but you're still somehow giving more than him despite doing absolutely nothing? Just admit that you're a cheap and lazy daughter of a bitch and be done with it. I won't respect you for that, but at least you'll be honest for once in your meaningless existence, and that's gotta count for something. You're so cheap and selfish that it's totally fine to bend your cultist beliefs to the point of non-existence if it justifies you not having to spend any money. Let's just take a closer look at the garbage you're peddling here. The supposed gaps in the wages caused by chromosome count has been destroyed so many times that it's taken up a permanent residence in Suplex City. Your birth control is not our problem, and we don't have to compensate you for that. And those chemicals you rub all over your face, we never asked you to do that. You did that all yourself, and you expect us to pay you back for those decisions? Yeah, nice try, sweetheart. That's not happening.
And that is the reason why this guy, who was an actual feminist, not one of those fake woke men on the internet, had no issue in spoiling me a little bit on the first date. And he was great, and I'm excited to see him again. And no, he's not gonna pay for every single one of my dates.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Yes, I know men are not ATMs. Men love saying that about themselves when they have no fucking money. It's always the broke ones that always say that. So anyways, girls, this is the bar. The bar is high. We do not accept anything less. They exist. They're very rare, but they exist.
You know what? I'm almost impressed. You would have thought that she would have accidentally had some type of argument that would have warranted at least some merit, but then again, here we are. Nothing. Instead, you've covered all of the bases that modern feminism covers when it comes to your justification to be spoiled, cheap, and lazy. We got all the classics here. Quoting a wage gap that doesn't exist. Faking an oppression that also doesn't exist. Forcing a man to cover your expenses because of the oppression that also does not exist. And the tried and true classic, insulting the character of a man who doesn't want to waste his money on you. Who needs logic when you've got illogical emotion, right? Now, if you had mentioned the patriarchy somewhere, you would have won yourself a set of steak knives. I'm almost impressed with how smug you are with your delusions of grandeur when it comes to this topic. You honestly think you're on the right side of history, and that's kind of pathetic. But I suppose it's only proper to give you that title. It does befit your personality, after all.
That's funny because it's so true.
I'm going to start a conversation that's going to spark a lot of controversy, specifically with middle-aged men and middle-aged male podcasters. But I'm over it. I am so sick of seeing middle-aged, washed-up, promiscuous, ex-boys, divorcees / baby daddies online yammering on about body count. The conversation of body count is reserved specifically for young, successful, virtuous, well-intended men seeking a wife who is young and virtuous as well.
Show a little respect. So, how many men have you slept with?
Well, 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 looky what we have here. Sounds like someone's a little touchy. Sounds to me like someone's ashamed of their past but refuses to take any accountability. Woman, you're forgetting yourself. You see, as a woman, you control access to the sexual side of things. However, we men control access to the relationships. And because we control access to the relationships, the topic of body count is reserved strictly for men who are considering taking on that particular risk. And we're the ones who decide who's going to enter our lives, not you. And the last thing we want is a middle-aged, washed-up, ex-harlot, divorcee baby mama with a body count that makes Hot Shots Part 2 question its life choices. It's actually a really underrated movie. You should check it out. And the fact that you're getting angry at men for the perfectly valid preference of not wanting a woman who's passed herself around like a bag of Oreos already tells us more than what we need to know about your double digits.
The fact that a lot of you men spent an entire lifetime damaging and degrading your target marital demographic only to turn around and condemn them, and then furthermore feel entitled to one that does not belong to you, is absurd.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby! Don't you put that on us!
Woman, the last time I checked, nobody forced you to be with the men that damaged you. You did that to yourself. You chose to go after the bad boys, to go after Chad and Tyrone and the rest of the gang. And you don't get to blame us for your terrible life choices. That is not on us. How could it possibly be our fault when you were openly mocking and insulting us in between moments of your life when you were outright pretending we didn't exist? There were plenty of men out there who would have treated you with dignity and kindness, and they might even wifed you up before the booze wore off, but you made the active decision to either friend zone those guys or label them as creepers and then went off to go have your fun. But admitting that you made some terrible life choices would require you to take some accountability for your terrible actions, and we all know that's not possible, because if you do, you won't be able to justify your laziness by blaming us for all your problems, and Christ knows you can't have that.
And sometimes I actually feel like I'm in the twilight zone because, contrary to legalities and way of equality for men and women, we're still very much in a patriarch. And it was the patriarch that up and decided sex sells, and that's what they did. They sold sex to their women and children so they could comfortably exploit women's for their own entertainment, and here we are.
I don't think any of that's true.
Okay, so we're gonna blame society now. Alright, fine, let's do it. I'm willing to bet 50 intergalactic space bucks that you weren't complaining about your sexual market value back when you were starting out on the dating market, now were you? You weren't complaining about the patriarchy back then, of course you weren't, because you were receiving benefits. At the beginning of the game, you set the rules, and you determine who gets to play. And what you were supposed to do was keep your standards simple and accept the fact that an average man would have probably worked out just fine for you. But as you got older, you forgot that the game changes, and it becomes the older men who get to choose. And we're pretty careful about who we allow to play. And at the bottom of that particular list are shrill-voiced, bitter chicks who wear too much makeup, lack any kind of intellect, and think sleeping with over 20 men is somehow a personality trait. In other words, for you, sugar, it's game over. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. As always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a comment or two, and let's give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.